Yes, welcome to the Vanguard Show podcast. We have a program special tonight with a very special guest that's been on the show before. It's Brother Bilal Sunni Ali. And again, he's a longtime activist, a famed musician, and a loving father. So, Brother Bilal, welcome to the Vanguard Show. And you have some information that you wanted to share with the listeners.
Thank you. Walaikum salam. Thank you, brother Malik, and thank you. And I'd like to start off by saying that I seek refuge in the law against misleading and being misled. And I ask the Lord to guide my heart and to guide my tongue as to all the things that I would like to say, and pray that the things that I do say, people find the interest in it, people find some validity and some value in my having said that.
Okay.
And getting right to the issue of what I wanted to do. I've been on the phone most of the time on the phone spent today was talking to people about the issue that my son has found himself in, and that we as a family have found ourselves in, and that we as a people find ourselves in. And for those people who are not aware, my son is Ahmed Chaka Zulu Obafemi, popularly known as Chaka Zulu. But I want people to know that full name so that people, a lot of people take names of famous people or take names of people they admire, right, or people that, whatever reasons, in this period that we find ourselves living in this cultural renaissance that people are going through, and this cultural awakening that people are going through. But the name Chaka Zulu, which is after a famed Zulu warrior, the most famous Zulu warrior, is a name that was given to my son. It was given to him at birth. He didn't. It's not a name that he thought about and took on. It's not a street name. It's his family name. It's the name of his heritage.
Okay.
Back, if you know the story of Chaka Zulu, and you know that his mother was named Nandi.
That's right. Yes, out of Azania.
Chaka Zulu Obafemi's mother was named Fulani. Most people know her as Fulani, but her middle name was Nandi. Just like Obafemi's middle name is Chaka Zulu.
Okay, all right.
So what has happened? He has. I think we were living in New Orleans. That's what I always tell people. We were living in New Orleans, and our family split up on purpose because my wife, Fulani Sunni Ali, got a job in Atlanta. And we were living in New Orleans, and it was Chaka's high school year, and not a good time to move.
Oh, I understand that. Yes, uprooting. Yeah.
So our family split up on purpose, and my wife and the girls came to Atlanta, and I stayed with the boys in New Orleans. But as soon as we left, as soon as his graduation was finished, and it felt like, I tell people, felt like I graduated high school.
Okay.
So we came to Atlanta, and he's been charting the course of his life in Atlanta for those over 3 decades. He's been here, and he met and made close friends with Chris, known as Ludacris,
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
They became close friends soon after he got here while they were going to the Clark 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 College. That was before it became Clark AU.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know they're young guys, but I wouldn't expect that they would come during the old time when it was called something else other than Clark Atlanta.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Atlanta U and Clark College back then, but they hadn't merged yet.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, when they were there. But so many people know him, know of him being Ludacris's manager.
Mm-hmm.
And but what most recently happened is that Chaka was shot. He was shot in the back. Watched some video which didn't have audio, and had the attorneys explain it to me. And from what you can see happening, and which, if any of you have gotten a chance to watch the video of what takes place in the parking lot outside of the establishment called Apartment 4B, it takes place in a matter of seconds. If it's over a minute, it's not many seconds over a minute.
Okay.
Quick activity of Chaka coming out of the restaurant, and he goes to greet his assistant and escort her into the restaurant from her car. But when he goes out, there's a crowd, not a major crowd, but there's like 5 or 6 people. I counted 6 people.
Okay.
That standing around,
mm-hmm.
who within seconds jumped on Chaka.
Right.
There's a session where you can see somebody bumps Chaka and then gets up in his face, and Chaka's talking back to him, and Chaka holds the person in place as if they, it's the type of hold that you put on somebody's about to pull a gun.
Yeah.
So that's what PSB. Chaka was holding him in place and preventing this person.
Okay.
Himself had a weapon, and it's noted to say that he didn't pull his weapon in response to somebody pulling a weapon. He prevented the person from pulling their weapon and left his weapon in place. And he left his weapon in place as he was surrounded by 4 other people, and he was beaten to the ground and then kicked and stomped on while he's on the ground. And there's a person who they claim was an innocent bystander who is now deceased from the incident, because as they kicked and stomped Chaka said that he heard somebody saying, move over, move out the way.
Yeah.
And he said he could only imagine that the person was talking to people who were still kicking and stomping him, and wanted them to move out the way so that he could get a good shot.
Wow.
Chaka rose to his feet and pulled his weapon.
Okay.
That only at that point, and the people was still coming toward him, and they attacked him and attacked his assistant, and then he pulled the weapon and fired a shot. And the person that was hit is the person that was deceased.
Okay.
Chaka also fired almost at the same time that he fired the shot. You can see smoke from a gun, and Chaka is shot in the back. You can see smoke from another gun, another person holding the gun. You can see that in the video.
Yeah.
Where Chaka shot in the back. And Chaka spent quite a bit of time um, over 2 months in the hospital, and then he went to rehab. And then, as he was continuing along with his rehab, we got word that the police department, the Atlanta Police Department, was going to charge him with murder. We're putting out a warrant for his arrest.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Mm.
No one else was charged. No one else has been charged.
Right.
Chaka's being charged. The charges read murder, aggravated assault, possession of a weapon in commission of possession of a firearm in commission of a felony, simple battery.
Okay. And how long ago was this incident, so people could understand?
This incident was the last weekend. I believe it was June 26th.
Okay.
June 26th, and it was around the beginning of September when he was charged. It was either the very end of September, very end of August, or the very beginning of September, or the beginning of September. I know that whenever school starts, because his daughter was going to school, and he was, the day that she was planning to go to school is the day to start college, was the day that that we were told that a warrant had been issued for Chaka's arrest.
Okay. And why wasn't it automatically self-defense? Because your son was on the ground, he was being beaten, imminent death could occur. So how is the team, basically the legal team, gonna show everyone that this was self-defense?
Well, they with the video playing and them narrating it, it's clear what happens. You can see what happened. You can see the things that I just described. You don't hear it on the video because there's no audio to the video, but you can see exactly what happens. You can see Chaka moving, and then somebody interrupts him, and then you can see a crowd surround him, and you can see him on the ground and being stomped. All this is clear on the video. His assistant being punched in the face twice, you can see that clear on the video. So we were really hoping that, because usually district attorneys don't like to spend money on cases they can't prove, and what would they, so the idea is, what would they charge them with? What could they charge them with and prove? Even the simplest of those charges is simple battery, which you can see from the video. He doesn't commit the battery.
Right.
He's not
attacked
for the battery. So why?
I want to make this clear. This is his place of business. He owns this. So there would be no conceivable way he would want to do anything that would end up like this.
Yeah. This business is a business. It's a restaurant that he rents on Sundays. Yeah, him and a business associate, they rent it on Sundays, and you have to have reservations to be seated in the restaurant.
Okay.
Now these young men came without reservations, and parked their cars there. They spent, I don't know what it cost, but they spent the fee to park their cars in the VIP parking spot. And then, because they didn't have reservations, they weren't allowed to be seated. So they came back out and wanted their parking fees reimbursed. It does from the video. It does. It didn't seem like a conversation about parking fees.
Okay.
And knowing my son, if it was a matter of parking fees being reimbursed, they would have gotten that immediately, without even a frown,
And please speak to the
so
character.
it wasn't.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't a matter of money, in terms of them being reimbursed their parking fees. If that had been the conversation, we would have seen, we would have seen them either get reimbursed or Chaka promised to reimburse them or something. It would have been some indication that the matter was explained and resolved. But that wasn't visible from the video. Okay. So like I said, there's no audio on the video, but this is what we witnessed, and then we've come to find out that nobody, as still as of today, there's talk about lessening the charges on Chaka, but not of dropping them totally. And there's still no one. There's talk of arresting some of the other individuals who can be seen committing their crimes on video. Right. But still, no one has been arrested. No one else has been charged. Okay. And so we find ourselves in a situation where everybody's asking, how does this happen? How could it be? Of course, me being from the particular time, I automatically, when I'm attacked or one of my colleagues or comrades attacked or one of my children attacked, I automatically think, well, it's the U.S. government responsible for the attack. Right. Yeah. And I would say that in this case, and I would invite those who were involved, anybody who was in the parking lot that night, including those who were involved in the attack on Chaka, to study that, because it's important to understand that even when I discussed the idea of the U.S. government can have a conspiracy, and can have a local court carry it out. And I had that discussion with Paul Howard, the former Fulton County District Attorney. Okay. And he said of all he's been through, and we were particularly talking about the case of Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown. Yeah. And he said it was quite possible and even probable that he had unwittingly been a part of a U.S. government conspiracy, or part of a program of counterinsurgency known as COINTELPRO, in regard to his involvement in that case. Okay.
And I was going to ask, what can my listeners do to not only learn more about the case, but what they can do to really support, the case of your son, to help out? What can they do, and where can they go? Mm-hmm.
We have a video, and that, I know I have the video. I'm not sure where. I know that a video is available on Black Power Media, the Riot Starter TV.
Okay. Yes.
They look
Jamachanga, yes.
Yeah, that the video is available of the press conference that the family and the lawyers had a few weeks ago, about a month ago. So that video is readily available. And what people are doing, and I'm asking people like you who have a media outlet, who have a media platform, to please use that media platform to get some of the facts and the details about Chaka's case, and merely retell the story. Tell the story as best as you can, or relate what has been told.
Right.
because there's people who have a different narrative of the events and a different summation of the events than I have and what the lawyers have, of course. But if you can check because both viewpoints are represented in the question and answer period at the press conference.
Yeah.
Some of the questions that are being some of the questions that were being posed to Chaka is if why didn't he walk away and avoid the conflict, and all of those questions are being posed and answered in that video.
Okay. And I'll make sure I share that video as well. I know Brother Kalanji Jamachanga and Professor Jared Ball, Brother Kamal Franklin. So I definitely will share it as well. But is there any contact information in terms of emailing, even dealing with the lawyers in terms of, if there's a contact so people can get involved? What can they do?
That's all we've been doing. We've just been asking people to go from where they're at without any central organizing going on around the issue. But being that many of us feel the way we feel, that usually people, when a person is attacked by someone and then charged with a crime, that usually happens when the police are involved. Right. The police attack someone and you're charged with an assault on a police officer. So, and even with everybody being judged, but this seems something extra special that Chaka is jumped on, kicked on, stomped on, shot in the back, and he's the only one charged. Mm-hmm. He's the only one charged with anything. So, it sounds like to me, and the other part that I didn't mention so far, was that the individuals, the young men involved in the case, turned themselves into the police and were let go. Wow. They turned themselves into the police and were let go.
Which is an admission of guilt, right? It's an admission of guilt.
To turn yourself is an admission that you were at least a witness, right, to what happened in question at that time. Okay. And they were all there, but there's no record of them being questioned, and the fact that they were let go. Even the shooter, the person who was said to have shot Chaka in the back, came and he wasn't. Yeah, he turned himself in, refused to talk, and was allowed to walk away with no posting of bond or anything.
Okay. What I want to ask now is just speak to the. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was interested in knowing, were these people in fact policemen? Maybe they were undercover, and why would they not be charged? Why would they be allowed to walk away? But someone should be able to explain that, either they themselves or the Atlanta Police Department. Okay. And I invite people to study about this program that the U.S. government had, this counterinsurgency program called COINTELPRO, where scenarios like that would happen. And sometimes people would be agents of the local police department, or agents of the FBI, or agents of one branch or another of the U.S. military, who've all been involved in working to suppress our movement for liberation. And young people should know, and we feel this is an opportune time to let people know that they need to study about this government program, and they need to study about our liberation struggle so that they can understand where they may be fitting in or not fitting in. You know, we just just recently two people who were charged with murder, who were charged with the murder of El-Haj Malik Shabazz, known as Malcolm X, right. Were exonerated.
That's right. Yeah.
And the story goes on that it was in fact the U.S. government, and they used people. They used people who were known criminals. They used people who were in the FBI. They used people who were in New York City Police Department. That's right. And other times these people didn't know each other. Right. And the strings, you know, it's thing we say, you throw a rock and hide your hand. And U.S. government is very capable of doing that. They do it around the world. Okay. And so, you know, without going into cases where they do it around, we invite people to study where they do it around the world. Matter of fact, we have a coalition that we're building, a coalition called the COINTELPRO Full Disclosure 2998, because 2998 is the bill in Congress that was introduced by former Black Council member Bobby Rush, Congressman Bobby Rush, Illinois, and he's and that's the number of the bill, and it's called full disclosure because what the bill is demanding that all agencies and all operatives involved with the program be named and be subject to prosecution, be subject to being sued for their part. And for those who didn't know their part, it's, you know, some people are just learning, have been doing things and lately learning that it was part of a government program and not knowing at the time that it was, particularly when it comes to youth gang, so-called youth gang intervention, and quite lately when it comes to the music industry and the genre popularly called rap and hip hop, and it needs to be studied. People study the well-known case of Tupac Shakur. You'll see you'll see that there are quite similarities in the way that the assassination of Tupac Shakur was carried out. And so, you know, without calling anybody any names or even saying the names that we're not calling them, we invite people to study this issue because people should study this. You know, district attorneys, former district attorney Paul Howard, you know, would agree with us because in conversation, he did agree. Okay. And I said, if he's here right now, he would agree, and he would advise his successor, Sister Fannie Willis, that she should study this program to make sure that she's not being used. Okay. And that's what we're saying, that people should study what has happened. What has happened? That's an attack against all of us. Okay. It's an attack on all of us, whether you're considered a criminal, whether you're considered law enforcement, whether you're considered in business, whether you're a youth or whether you're a middle-aged or elderly person. It's an attack on all of us that's being carried out, and we sometimes mistake it for what it is and begin to attack each other.
Okay, all right. Now,
against each other.
Okay, and, yeah. As the time running down a little bit, I just wanted to get to this in terms of is there any other information you'd like to share, as well as contact information from you that you'd like to offer? Social media, email that I can share with my listeners here.
Share with the audience. We have a that is I'm the Amir. That's the administrative head of the Imam Jamil Action Network, and you can get this information about his case, which is also being looked over by District Attorney Fannie Willis, and that she's the head of the Conviction Integrity Unit.
Yes.
And but that case can be, you can go to our website, www.imamjamilactionnetwork.org. Again, that's www.imamjamilactionnetwork.org. And you can not only find out about his case, but you can also, you can get information on the COINTELPRO full disclosure 2998 bill. You can also look that up directly, the COINTELPRO 2998, and see what we're doing in that case. And we're having several webinars, and that is the coalition to push this bill, where our next webinar is November the 6th, and which will include, the title of that webinar is called Growing Up Targeted. Will there be information coming from members of my family? I doubt if Chaka himself will be one of those, but members of my family who will talk about incidences of police and government interference with their going to school and getting jobs, etc., and just carrying on with their life since, with their life as being children of activists and children of people who were targeted.
Yeah,
so that's again Sunday, November the 6th at 2 p.m.
Okay, all right.
And I'll send out the site, and you can go to our website to get it'll be posted on our website how to attend that, how to register and attend that particular webinar, which will give more insight into the program that I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, Brother Bilal, I really appreciate this, and I definitely want to share this with my audience. And I always send prayers and Allah's grace to your family. And again, you can definitely count on me to share and to spread the word. And again, thank you for coming on the Vanguard Show tonight.
Okay, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Shukran.